An important part of being a front-end developer is to provide a good user experience on the websites and web applications that you develop. And that includes ensuring that users can complete HTML forms without issues. There are many web browsers available today for browsing the World Wide Web. However, each one is developed by a different company using different technologies. As a result, you will find that your HTML forms will appear differently when you view them on different web browsers. But a form may even appear differently on the same browser when you view the form on a Windows PC or a Mac. This makes the creation of a consistent user experience challenging. In this video, you will explore how form elements display differently on various web browsers and how to solve this problem. First, let's focus on the most common form element, the input element. The same input type HTML code displays differently in web browsers such as Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Chrome, and Safari. For example, there are subtle differences in the height and corners of the input box. There is also a difference in the default input box widths of Firefox and Safari compared to other browsers like Microsoft Edge and Chrome. Safari on Mac OS differs a lot from the other browsers, using a thinner border and regular corners. Next, let's explore the checkbox input type. Again, the exact same input type HTML code will let the checkbox display differently in a checked and unchecked state in different browsers. Notice that Microsoft Edge uses a grey color in the checked state while the other web browsers use blue. Even still, each browser is using a different shade of blue. Also notice how the border of the checkbox varies between each web browser. Safari's checkbox is also smaller than the other. Now that you've explored how HTML form elements can appear inconsistently across different web browsers, let's focus on how to solve this. As you know, CSS allows you to define the visual styling of HTML elements. Defining CSS rules for the different HTML form elements will ensure that your element is styled consistently across web browsers. For example, you can use element selectors to select the different element types and apply CSS properties to them. It's also possible to style the individual input types using CSS rules. You can add a CSS rule using the element selector. To select the input HTML element, use the input element selector. And then specify the individual styling by adding a pair of square brackets, and then type equals, in this case text or email. Then apply CSS properties to set the font, width, height, and border. If you specify styling with CSS in this way, the individual elements of your forms will display consistently across browsers. Luckily, there are a lot of resources that simplify the styling of forms. Popular libraries and frameworks such as Bootstrap, Tailwind CSS, and Foundation provide CSS rules for forms and ensure visual consistency across different devices and browsers. You should now know why it is important to pay attention to the appearance of different HTML elements across web browsers and how you can ensure consistency with CSS rules.